All right, it is 2 o'clock on the dot, and it looks like we are ready to get the ball on the roll or get the show on the roll. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in once again. Good afternoon, and welcome to week 4 of the Save L+EARN Financial Literacy Program for young adults. What an amazing 4 weeks it has been, or 3 weeks. Today is week 4. It has been absolutely amazing. If you have been with us from the beginning, thank you so much for tuning in every week. I can assure you today is going to be no different. It is going to be lit, just like all of the other weeks. It's going to really be great. And so we're going to get straight into it. But before we do, maybe quickly just type in the chat. Let us know how you're feeling. Let us know if you're here. It's always great to know who's joining us. And it's good to know that we've got everybody in the house today. And I'm going to continue with the presentation in the meantime. So for those of you joining us for the first time, I know that today's webinar has got quite a lot of newcomers. Thank you so much for joining us. Today is week 4 of the Saver Wire L+EARN Financial Literacy Program, especially designed for young adults like you. And those who have been on previously will tell you that we have learned so much together. Even though I'm presenting this webinar, I've been learning so much every single week. And so I absolutely can't wait to get into what's happening today. As usual, I am not alone. My name is Darren August. I'm the host of today's webinar, but I'm not alone. I've got Crystal on technical support today, and I've got Sarah on chat. And so if there is anything that you need, please remember that you can engage with us in the chat box. Any questions, any comments, if you're having any issues, you're battling with connections, type it in the chat and my team will get back to you and they will be able to answer your question and offer you the support that you've got. Also, what a privilege to have 2 special guests with me, and I'm going to introduce them formally a little bit later on, but for now, you can probably see them on the screen, and so I'm just going to allow them to say hello. First up, we have the lovely Tsungai Masendeke, all the way from Johannesburg somewhere. She's looking super, super gorgeous today. Makeup on fleek. That's a sponsored outfit. Tsungai, wave, say hello and tell us what you're wearing today.
Hi, Darren. Oh my gosh. I wish I could say I'm wearing Gucci or something by Louis Vuitton, but unfortunately, it's just forever new. Very humble, very humble.
That's great, because we're talking about being wise with your money. So that's absolutely great. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to chat shortly. And then also you'll see he's sitting in the car right now. Like it looks like he's huffing and puffing because he's been running from meeting to meeting. He lives the glamorous life. That's Tepo, Tepo Khapane, but also known as DJ at Large. How are you doing at large?
I'm super great. Let me apologize about the background.
It looks like he's
obviously my car been running around.
Did we get that? Looks like we got that. All right, guys. So let me quickly just reiterate some rules. Remember, please respect the platform. There's no such thing as a stupid question, so you are most welcome to ask your questions. But let's keep them related to the content of today's webinar. And if there are any issues, you can communicate in the chat function. Let's go. Today we are talking investing, all right? And before we get into that, I just want to remind you, if you haven't already done so, please join the Facebook group. It's a closed Facebook group called ASISA Foundation L+EARN. There is lots of interaction happening on that Facebook group, lots of information. And then also the website you can go to is www.l+earn.org.za or www.asisafoundation.org.za. Click on the L+EARN program and you'll be able to receive all of the information that you're learning on this webinar every week, as well as recordings of every week's episodes, which is absolutely phenomenal for you to go back, watch that, and just really take in the information again. All right. Today we're talking investing. So you know that in the previous weeks we spoke about budgeting, we spoke about needs and wants, we spoke about avoiding that debt trap and credit. And so today we're getting you to the place where you now start moving forward and start building wealth. And it's going to be very interesting. But before that, let's get the first poll up. And so we're going to put the poll up on the screen right now for you to vote and choose the answer that you agree with most. So team can put up the poll and we're going to get everybody to vote. I'll give it a few minutes. Okay, the poll is up. There are 3 questions on the poll today. So please make sure that you scroll right down to number 3 before it will allow you to submit your answer. We'll give it a few minutes. And while you do that, I'm going to see if I can read out some of the chat messages that have come through. Hi, everyone. I'm new on this webinar and I'm ready to get some information that you have for us. Awesome. Thank you. Welcome. Hey there. I'm excited to be here and looking forward to learning a lot about investing. Awesome stuff, Tedza. You're in the right place. Sipo Kutle is saying, good day. This is my 2nd week attending and I have to say so far, I've managed to learn a lot about finances. I'm looking forward to today's session. How beautiful is that? Absolutely great. Noluvo also saying, hello, excited to be here. Thanks, guys. Really, really good messages coming through there. Quite a few first timers, but so much excitement. Farron Lee, thank you so much for this opportunity. Good to be here. Shout out to you, Farron Lee. Sinesipo saying, feeling good, looking forward to today's topic. Awesome stuff. Guys, quite a few of you still need to vote, so let me keep quiet and allow you to vote. I'm going to give it 30 more seconds and then we're going to take the poll down. So there are 3 questions. Vote with the one that you agree with most for each one. Okay, we're going to keep it open for 30 seconds more. Looks like most of you have voted. Let's go just 10 seconds and then I'm going to take it down. All right, I think that's sufficient. Crystal, you can enter the poll. Awesome stuff. Thank you very much. Let's continue. All right, guys. So as I mentioned, today we are talking about investing and it's going to be quite an interesting one. So when it comes to investing, investing literally is you buying financial assets and put money in investment products for a specific time period in order to make more money and grow your wealth. So that's what investing is about. We've taught you about budgeting, we've taught you about saving, but investing is actually now starting to build and accumulate wealth. And I know that what our guests today have lined up for you is really just going to blow your mind and help you just see so much clearer. All right, you invest in order to make more money than you originally invested. That's very important to remember. And investment products include things like shares, property bonds, and cash. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a moment. So shares. Shares is also called equity or stocks, all right? And our financial planner is going to dive into some of them a little bit later on. So if you buy shares, you are basically buying part of a company, right? Or a portion of ownership. Imagine, so this company has worked, they've built their company, and they offer you an opportunity to buy shares in the company. So you're almost like a co-owner. Companies issue shares to raise money in order to grow their business, and they then list on the stock exchange. And ordinary people like you and me have the opportunity to purchase those shares and have a form of ownership. And we can use that as a form of investing to generate wealth for ourselves. So if you buy shares, you share in the company's profits, but you also share in the company's losses. And so I'm sure if you follow the news, you would hear, sometimes you'll hear things like the stock price has dropped. All right, that means that you might have lost some money. And sometimes you'll hear, oh, the stock price has gone up, and you're like, oh, we've made money. That's what shares is about. The next investment vehicle is bonds. And a bond is a financial tool that is used by governments or municipalities or state-owned enterprises and companies to borrow money from investors. When investors buy a bond, they in essence give a loan to the organization issuing bonds, who then repays the loan with interest. And I'm actually going to ask Tungai to touch on it a little bit later when you talk to us about investing. I want you just to elaborate a little bit more for us on bonds, because I know a lot of us hear, oh, government bonds, what are they? How do they work? And so I'd love for you to touch on that as well when you come up a little bit later. And then property or real estate is another one where you are able to invest as well. And so property, you can invest in property by either purchasing a property and renting it out. So you would often hear people talking about, my tenants are giving me a headache. That's because they've bought a property as an investment and have somebody else paying them rent. Or otherwise, you can invest in property by putting some money into a property fund or a property investment trust of some sort, where you are able to generate income as well from the proceeds of what you generate in that trust or in that property investment scheme. Cash is another option. And so investing in cash could mean investing in high interest accounts, such as a fixed deposit at a bank or money market accounts. Cash is usually lower risk and lower return, but it may be suitable for it may not be suitable for long-term investing. That's very important. All right, cash is probably, it's never wise to keep your cash for a long period of time. You much rather want to find ways to have your cash working for you and find ways to have that money grow. And Tungai is going to touch on that a little bit later on as well. So very important, guys, when you think investing, you have to know that you need to consider the risk and you need to consider the return. And so investing is always associated with risk, all right? The possibility that you may lose your money or the possibility that you may get a lot more money. So very important that you weigh up the options. Your investment will be linked to your risk profile, your goal, or the purpose of the investment. So it's very important. Don't just invest for nje. Don't just invest for the sake of, all right? You want to get proper advice and link it to your goals, all right? So you may want to consider different investment options for your different goals. Also, very important to consider time. The longer you remain invested, the lower your chances of losing money. All right, so don't think that it's going to be a get-rich-quick scheme. Investing is not get-rich-quick. It's advisable to invest over a longer period of time so that you're able to see your money working for you. And then you want to diversify your investments. Don't have all of your eggs in one basket. All right, we've all seen situations where people invest everything in one company or everything in one bank, and the next thing you see a headline, a newspaper headline saying they've closed, they're gone, and you've lost all your money. So diversify your investment portfolio, and we're going to learn a little bit more about that from our financial planner a little bit later on as well. Then, very important to consider inflation and compound interest. So when you think inflation, I want you to think of it as the value of your money, all right, over a period of time. And the best way to demonstrate what inflation is if you bought a KFC Streetwise 2 5 years ago, the cost of a KFC Streetwise 2 was probably around 10 Rand, all right? But today, Streetwise 2, you're still getting 2 pieces of chicken, you're still getting 5 chips, but you're paying a lot more. It's probably 30 Rand or 40 Rand. I don't know how much a Streetwise 2 is, okay? But that is the value of your money over time. So that is what inflation is. The value of your money goes down over a period of time. So it's very important to consider inflation. And then compound interest is the best thing since sliced bread, all right? Either negative or positive, because if you invest and you invest in a product where interest is compounded, you will be able to see just how you're going to benefit about that. And I know some guys got an example of that as well. But you want to know how to calculate interest. We've given you a interest calculation last week. And so I want to encourage you to go onto the website and check out the interest calculations and look for opportunities to invest where there is compound interest. And just to simplify it, compound interest is earning interest upon interest. So if you think about, oh, munye, pesco, munye, oh, munye, okay? So it's interest on interest. That's what compound interest is. You're getting paid money that you've invested, and you're getting interest plus interest on that interest that you've earned. Why is it important to consult a financial planner? Guys, this is so important. You may choose to invest directly with a financial services company or go online, but it's very important to consult a financial planner just because they're more experienced. Remember, a financial planner will give you advice suited to your needs. So don't ask cousin Zbani for financial advice. Ask a proper financial planner who is trained to assess your needs, to be able to say to you, what are your goals? And help you put together a financial plan that is suited to your needs. That's probably the most key element of this entire slide, is that you want to consult a financial planner because they are going to give you advice that is relevant to your financial needs. All right. And then also see a financial planner to review your portfolio at least once a year. Very important, because things change. There's new products all of the time. Your goals change. Sometimes your situation changes. You get married, you have children. And so as you are at different life stages, your financial needs change as well. And so it's very important to do that where you just touch base with your financial planner at least once a year to be able to check, okay, where am I at? Am I getting closer to those goals that I've set? Am I making money? Is my money working for me? A financial planner will be able to do all of that for you and assist you with that. And then you can contact the Financial Sector Conduct Authority to seek registered financial advice, and also to check if somebody is registered as a financial planner. and you can contact the Financial Planning Institute for a list of certified financial planners. Very important. All right. Somebody who says to you, I'm a financial planner, ask them if they registered. All right. Ask them to see their credentials, because you don't want to be victim to a scam. So a couple of questions you can ask your financial planner, and I'm going to go through all of these just because they're all very important. The first one is, what is the minimum amount of money needed to invest in this product? That's very important. Do I pay a once-off lump sum, or do I make regular monthly contributions? You need to consider that, especially if you're in a situation where you don't get your income every single month on the same day. You might want to consider something where you're able to invest a lump sum at the beginning of the year and then do it again next year. How much interest will I earn? That's very important. Will the investment be released only for a specific reason, example, education or retirement, or can I get my money whenever I need it? When can I have access to my money invested plus the return or the interest? That's very important. You don't want to find yourself in a situation where you've got all of this money tied up somewhere and you're not able to access it. And so it's very important that you ask those questions upfront so that you're able to plan accordingly. And then if I pay monthly contributions, what happens if I start off and make contributions for a period and then I'm no longer able to contribute? So, for example, I lose my job or my financial status changes. What happens then? And your financial planner will be able to guide you with that. Are there any penalties if I want to withdraw the money invested sooner than the agreed period? Very important question to ask. And what is the likely amount I will receive at the end of the investment period? That's so important, because you don't want to be putting away money, saving towards a car, and you're thinking, okay, it's going to be for my car deposit in 5 years. And then at the end of 5 years, you get back equivalent of 1 month's salary and you think, but I've invested all of this time. So very important that you know, more or less, have an estimate of what you can expect to receive so that you're able to plan. And again, I wouldn't be able to give you that advice. A financial planner would be able to guide you properly. All right. And then, guys, so important that you are aware of scams. There are scammers out there. There are people out there wanting to make money off people like us who can be vulnerable because we don't have the right financial information. And so you need to make sure that you check out the companies you invest with. You've been promised a lot of money back in a short space of time. That's a sign that it could possibly be a scam. You need to get other people to invest, or there's no knowledge of where the money is invested. You know, some of those things where they say, just give your money, and you say, okay, so how am I making my money? It doesn't matter. We're all in this thing together. Ask all of the questions so that you've got the right information. All right. Also, if there's no recourse in terms of what happens if you guys lose my money, or what happens if I invest all this money and the company goes down, where will I get my money? Who will I contact? You want to ask those questions. Then check out the websites. A lot of these scammers have fake websites, so be careful of the sites that may look similar to those well-known investment companies or banks but are fraudulent. Some people will change one letter in the name of the company and have a logo that looks slightly different. You know, like some of the clothing we wear, where a crocodile faces that way instead of that way. They do the same thing. They can do the same thing with bank logos and investment companies. And so check out the websites. Make sure that you are not just getting into something that you could possibly end up losing your life's savings. Do not share personal information such as ID numbers, cell phone numbers, addresses and banking details, and PINs and passwords. And do not click on links claiming to be from banks or investment companies sent via SMS and email. Very important that you recognize those. I don't know if you've seen, but recently I get emails almost on a daily basis from companies claiming to be government institutions asking for quotes for COVID-19 personal protective items. And so by sending a quote to those people, I could possibly be giving them all my company details and they can use it to do some fraudulent transactions. So be careful of things like that and make sure that you are wise when you engage with organizations. Very important is that you want to start investing for retirement as soon as you can. It's recommended that you start as soon as you can. The younger you start, the better for you. If you start at the age of 25, you need to start saving about 15% of your monthly income for retirement. That's an estimated figure. But the later you leave it for, the more you're going to have to start saving. And so if you start when you're 40, you have to save 40% of your income in order to be able to come to retire comfortably. And so very important that you start as young as possible when it comes to retirement. And I know that sometimes when you're young, you think, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to die now. I'm not going to be old anytime soon. I'll leave it for later. and you're never guaranteed of later. All right, and so it's very, very important. Or you think, I'm going to be changing jobs so much, and then they're going to keep my money. So Tungai's going to guide us with what you can do in situations like that. But very, very important that you invest and you start saving for retirement as young as possible. All right, I'm going to stop talking. Here's my opportunity to bring on our guests. And so first up, we have social entrepreneur and founder of Youth Money Circle. His name is Tepo Chapane, and he is a social entrepreneur, financial literacy speaker, and facilitator. He's also a DJ, a blogger, a content creator, and a former TV and radio presenter. And so, well, ladies and gentlemen, on the webinar today, give some snaps and welcome DJ At Large. How are you doing, At Large?
I'm super. How you doing, brother?
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us on the webinar today.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's always nice to, talk about money, saving, investing, get people thinking different about creating wealth.
So I know a lot of people watching the webinar, as soon as they hear, he's a DJ, he's a TV and a radio presenter, they think you're living the glamorous life. Is it as glamorous as what we all see it from the outside?
No. So those who recognize the name Tepo Chapane may also know DJ At Large. So that's the name that I use. It is not glamorous. The fact that we're doing a webinar and I'm in the car tuning in should tell you the kind of lifestyle that we live. In the background, there's so much work that is going on. People usually just see the final product when you're on radio, when you're on TV, but in the background, there is so much work, so much pressure, and so much financial insecurity because, we work with contracts. So you'll be signed to a contract for a year, for 2 years, and then after that, there's no more salary. So it's not so glamorous, to be quite honest.
All right. So as a young person working in the entertainment industry, what persuaded you to start saving and investing?
I think because, it's the kind of job where there is no security, You sign a contract and you don't know at the end of the contract what's going to happen to you. So I needed to start thinking differently about my money. And I needed to find where can I put my money so that it grows, so that one day I can retire. Because you can imagine when you're working on TV or radio, there's no retirement, there's no pension. So I really needed to start thinking about the future. And that's what really brought it on for me.
So when you started investing At Large, what were some difficulties you faced and what helped you get around these?
You know what? There's so many misconceptions about saving and investing that are there that we need to address. People will say you need to be wealthy to start talking about money, or investing is so expensive and you should only do it when you're rich. And all those things are not true. As long as you have financial goals and there's things that you want to achieve, you should start to save, you should start to invest. So the first hurdle was really saying, all these misconceptions about money, they are not true. And so that's where I needed to start. And then it's to understand the language of money, which means you need to start to research, you need to start to ask questions, you need to start following people like Tungai on Twitter and Instagram, because she talks about money in a very relatable and easy way. So now you need to start interacting with your money. Darren, I always say to people, money is like a person that you're in a relationship with. If you take care of that person, the relationship is great, the relationship works. But if you don't take care of that person, the relationship doesn't work. So look at your relationship with money. What are you putting in the relationship? And if you're not putting things in the relationship, then the money doesn't last, the money doesn't work. So look at it like a relationship. What are you putting, what are you investing into the relationship? And trust me, money will always respond with love, and money will always give you good things. So that's how I view it, and that's how I've tackled it.
Wow, that's such a great takeaway already. So guys, treat money as if you're in a relationship with it. Right. And I mean, that is phenomenal. So
think about it, when all the good characteristics of a relationship, put that with money. Is there honesty? Is there transparency? Are you taking care of your money? If you do all those things, a relationship works. But if you abuse your money, as in you're spending more than you earn, you have too much credit, if you abuse the relationship, it doesn't work. So that's the way you should see it.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, so a lot of people want to see quick results when they invest. Is that possible? Does that happen?
No, and that's where the scammers are. There's a difference between saving and investing, as you mentioned in your slides. Investing is about the long term. So you're looking towards the future. So that money that you invest, you're not going to get it tomorrow. You're not going to start seeing crazy returns in a day. It's a long-term thinking. Saving, on the other hand, is a little bit different. You're saving money for an emergency. You're saving money for a holiday. You're saving money to pay some of your debt. That is short-term. So, I was very happy when you spoke about the scams, because a lot of people will say, invest 1,000 rand with me this week. Next week, I'll give you 2,000 rand. Just know already that's a scam. So investing is about long term. Think about long term growth. And that's the mentality that you need to have.
Love it. Andrew, I've seen your question. We're going to take it a little bit later. So I have noted your question. Thank you for your question. We'll come through it now. So at large, what tips would you give to other young people starting out running their own businesses, to start out in jobs for the first time on matters of saving and investing?
I think the first thing that you need to do is not put yourself under pressure. As young people, we want to live a certain lifestyle. The moment you say, I'm a businessman, I'm an entrepreneur, they're like, where's the car? Where's the house? So the first thing to do is to not put yourself under pressure. You're just starting out on a job. Take it easy, breathe. And then see a financial advisor and say, you know what, Tulai, I want to achieve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in such a long amount of time. What do I do now in order to have that now? Because building wealth is like planting a tree. You plant the seeds, and then after time, the tree grows, and what you benefit from the tree is the shade. And so you need to treat it like that. So it's to breathe, it's to not put yourself under pressure, and then it's to plan and to have long-term thinking and to say, I'm willing to sacrifice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now so that tomorrow I can have so much. So that's the advice that I can give, because, when I left varsity and all of a sudden I was on YFM, there was pressure. What are you driving? Where do you live? What are you wearing? And I'm so grateful that I didn't fall for that pressure.
Now, I can see that you didn't learn this like overnight. And I mean,
Yeah.
right now, all of this is oozing out of you, but I'm sure you've made some bad financial decisions and some good ones. And I'm sure everybody's thinking, oh, we'd love to know. So can you air some of your dirty laundry? Tell us about a very bad financial decision you made, and tell us about a good financial decision you made, particularly when it comes to saving and investing.
Right. So when it comes to saving and investing, I invested in Bitcoin. And the issue with investing in Bitcoin is you're investing in something you don't understand. So that's the first lesson I learned, that the moment you invest in something you don't understand, things are going to go wrong. And I was panicking. I was not patient. So the moment I see the price is going down, I'm panicking. I want to sell immediately. And investing is about long term, and you need to understand what you're investing in. So as an example, you go to a shopping center and you buy your groceries from a specific store, whether it's Pick and Pay or Checkers or whatever. You know what Checkers and Pick and Pay does. You're there every day. So invest in things that you understand and and most of those things are the things that you do every day. You're on Netflix all the time. Invest in Netflix. So invest in things that you understand. I do not understand cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and all of that, and I made a big blunder with that. So it was not cool. And
Awesome.
in terms of in terms of the good things, I wouldn't really necessarily say it's a savings and investing directly, but it's a habit that I got into, because you see, with investing and saving, it's a habit. It's something you do every day. So one of the things that I was doing was, every time I changed jobs, I got a promotion, I got a new contract, I never changed my lifestyle. I kept my lifestyle the same. We always make this mistake that now that I'm getting promoted, I changed my lifestyle, different car, different house, different clothes. And I never did that. I was consistent, which is what saving and investing needs. It needs a certain level of consistency. So I've been consistent with investing, consistent with saving, and not changing my lifestyle. Because, how do you save if you're always changing your lifestyle? What are you saving? You know what I mean? So there has to be a certain level of consistency when it comes to saving and investing. And I think that's where I got it right.
Awesome. I want to take 1 or 2 questions from the participants,
Cool.
because I think you'd be able to answer them really well. Here's one from Tembela saying, as a varsity student, can you start to invest at the moment? And then here's another one from Unica saying, is it better to rather pay off debt first before savings? And then one more from Unica saying, at what amount should one start saving?
All right. So, one of the things you mentioned in your slides is the importance of getting advice from a financial planner, financial advisor. So I obviously can't give people advice on what to do with their money. I can just share what I was particularly doing with my money. So there's a platform that I use. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention it. It's called Easy Equities. And the interesting thing with them is you can start to invest with very, very little money. And now there are lots of other platforms that allow you to invest 100 Rand, 50 Rand, 10 Rand, whatever the case may be. So it's just about doing research about what platform works for me and then taking it from there. But gone are the days where you need to have 10,000 to start investing. You need the stockbroker that's somewhere in Santin in a suit. Times are changing, So look at your current bank, look at your current financial institution. What investment platforms do they have? Speak to your financial planner and say, you know what, I only have 1,000 Rand a month. I only have 500 Rand a month. I've only got 200 Rand a month. What can I do? And they'll always guide you. And then Darren, what were your other two questions as well?
I think you've covered most of them.
Did I
because
cover
you've
everything?
Where to start, how much to start with,
Yes.
which is really great. We're going to catch up with you shortly again at large, but here's a nice message from Muiketsi saying, invest in things you understand. I'm taking this one. So that's Don't go away. Please stay with us because I'm going to bring you back on at the end of the webinar. But for now, we are going to move over to our next special guest. And so allow me to quickly put the screen up here before I introduce her. And she is the lovely Tungai Masendeka, who is a certified financial planner and a wealth coach by profession. She's passionate about financial literacy and inclusion. And Tungai is also a renowned speaker and panelist. She runs an investment property company as well as a financial planning practice. She is so excited to be with us. We are so honored to have her with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tungai Masendeke.
Thank you so much, Darren. Thank you, Tsepo. You guys are doing such an amazing job. And I was just sitting here listening. I'm like, we could just shut this thing down because you've just said everything.
I disagree. I know you're the expert. You're certified. Tsepo and I aren't certified. And so what you say, people can actually really take seriously. So let's get straight into it. And I think the first question I want to start off with you, Tungai, is what are some of the investments I can consider as a young person starting out in the world of work?
Fantastic question, because I think one of my mantras is just start. You don't have to wait until you've got 1,000 Rand. Start where you are, develop the right disciplines and the right habits, and wealth will come for sure. So some of the quick and easy things you can actually do, I know Tsepo has already mentioned, investing in equities. And I think sometimes it can be intimidating if you don't even know what a share is, what a stock is, how to even start picking which ones are actually good enough. Just start with your plain old unit trust. So they're either called unit trust or collective investment schemes in South Africa. And basically, you're outsourcing the expertise of a fund manager to go out there and pick up the stocks for you where they believe that there will be an unlocking of value over time. So a quick place to start is your unit trust or your collective investment scheme. Another quick way to start investing is to go for exchange traded funds. Now, there's been so much information going on about, how great exchange traded funds are. And yes, they are great because they're cheap. But I think people overlook the fact that they're just trackers. They do whatever the index does. And basically, because they do whatever the index does, if the index goes up, they copy that. They're copycats, basically. They'll copy up. If the index goes down, they copy down. So if COVID hits like it did in March, and your copycat just copied down, then you and your investment would actually have lost out. So it's important to have a balance. If you're starting today, have a mix of exchange traded funds, have a mix of unit trust. And if you have graduated, paid some fees, and you're comfortable with stock picking, then absolutely also go for that as an option.
See why you're the financial planner and not us. Okay, so I'm going to take Farron Lee's question because it's very closely linked to the next question I have, which is what investments can I do on my own and when should I consult a financial planner? And then Farron Lee's question is, would it be advisable to have someone else invest on your behalf? And when it comes to the return on the investment, would you have to split it between yourself and the person that you have appointed?
All right, brilliant. So generally I say, if you're new to the world of investing, remember Tsepo said that, you have to understand money. I love to say that money has a language and wealth has a language. So up until the point where you're still developing your own language in terms of understanding money, get help. Consult a certified financial planner like myself so that we actually guide you, assist you, and help you make great financial decisions. So if you're not clued up in terms of understanding the financial jargon, understanding the fees involved, understanding the returns, how to measure profitability in terms of your own investment, seek that assistance up until you're comfortable enough to actually do it yourself. It's like a baby, right? A baby starts by crawling, and after some time, then they walk, and then before you know it, they're running. So don't start your marathon by running. If you are at the stage where you still need to barely crawl, where you need to still get assistance, do exactly that. Up until a point where you now feel comfortable enough to actually run the financial journey yourself. So that's what I would say. Consult up until a point where you are comfortable enough to make those good quality financial decisions yourself.
This is so good. All right. How do I beat the effects of inflation when investing?
So inflation in a nutshell just means the sustained increase in the value of a basket of goods. So what this means is if last year with 100 Rand, you could buy 5 cans of beans, now you cannot afford the 5 tins of beans, and now you can only get maybe 4, right? So inflation is so important because you might actually have your money sitting in a savings account, and I will call this out right now. If you've got money sitting in a 60-day deposit, 30-day deposit, 32-day notice account, and it's been sitting there for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, take it out because
Why?
you're poorer, Darren, you're poorer. So you can see your money is there. Yes, you invested 30,000 Rand and you can see it's 30,000 in there. But in terms of the buying power or the purchasing power, because of inflation, you are technically poor off in Rand terms. So you want to make sure that the investments you go into are doing better than inflation. Inflation is at approximately 5.2%. It fluctuates. But if your investment is not returning more than 5.2%, run with your money like never before. Get out, cut your losses, and start making better investment decisions, please.
Oh my goodness. The questions are going crazy. We're going crazy with the questions. So let me stop and take 1 or 2 questions before we get back to mine. Here's one that says, since you said we must invest a certain percentage for retirement, so if I'm investing on retirement annuity fund, do I also have to invest in other opportunities or use the residual for a day-to-day basis? That's from Manda.
Okay, Manda, that's
And I think
fantastic.
with that, please answer the question, which is why is it important for me to start saving for retirement from an early age?
Okay, so I'm going to start with a principle that I coach my clients on, which is to use what I call the Penta rule. So whatever income you get, have a principle by which you actually allocate that money for different things. So the way I love to coach my clients is to say, of the money that you get, use 50% for your consumptive purposes. So if you're getting 1,000 Rand, consume 500 Rand, yeah? And then the other 10%, use it in order for you to actually save for emergencies. So create an emergency fund for yourself using 10%. The other 10%, use it to save for medium-term goals. So your medium-term goal would be to save for an MBA. It could be to save for the deposit for a house. Then long-term goals, allocate another 10%. So long-term goals can be things like retirement, yeah? And then the other 10%, if you're in debt, so you're on NSFAS or you have a motor vehicle loan, use the other 10% to get rid of that debt aggressively. Then the last 10% is what I call my do good fund, yeah? So do something bigger than yourself. Do something for someone else. Donate. Be involved in the well-being of the earth. So use the Penta rule to allocate your resources like that. So that for the person who actually asked, do I save in other things? Absolutely. 10% is for your retirement, but the other 20% is for your emergency fund, and then the other 10% is for a medium-term goal. And I'm just going to throw a little bit of a twist in here. We talked about saving for retirement. Right now in South Africa, only 6 out of every 100 people get to retire comfortably. i.e., they have got the quality of life they had after retirement as they did before retirement. So I'm going to put a scenario out there, and we should probably have a winner, right, Darren? And the scenario goes like this. Darren is 25, hot, popping. He's gotten his first job. Yay. And Darren is smart. And he decides, you know what, let me actually start saving for retirement from day one. So Darren saves only 500 Rand. And I know, Darren, you talked about streetwise 2. With 500 Rand, that's how many streetwise 2s? Maybe like 10?
Yeah.
Yeah. So sacrifice 10 streetwise 2s a month, just 500 Rand, and start saving from the age of 25 and save all the way until you are 65, which gives you exactly 40 years to save. In the chat box, please tell me how much you think Darren is going to have if his investment is compounding at 10% a year. So Darren is investing just 500 Rand every single month diligently for 40 years. And it's growing at 10%. By the time he retires at age 65, how much do you think Darren will have? Put it in the chat box.
Okay. I'm waiting to see the chat box. How much do you guys think I'll have?
This is your money, Darren, eh? How much are you going to have? Are these people generous, or they think, yeah, it's just, a small yana figure?
Nina says 22,629 Rand and 63 cents.
I like the precision. The 63 cents there, just hit it off for me.
Somebody else says 900,000, so almost a million. 900,000, so 900,554. I'm sounding like a former president over here. Mfundo says 221,000. Sinesipo says more than 1.5 million.
Okay, fantastic. Then let me put a twist on it. Now, say the other version of Darren says, okay, let me enjoy life just a little bit. Yeah, I'm young. I am the next thing after sliced bread here. Let me have fun. Let me enjoy my life. And Darren only starts investing at age 35. So he now only has 30 years to invest for retirement. Again, put in the chat box how much you think Darren, starting to save at 35, will have by the time he gets to retirement.
Okay, let's wait for the chats to come through. How much do you think I would have if I only started investing at the age of 35? So that's 10 years later, hey?
Exactly 10 years later.
Okay, guys, tell us what you think. Somebody says 18,000. Somebody says 82,247 Rand and 1 cent. Another one says 1.2 millions. Somebody says 85,000. Darren feeling like a former president. Oh, sorry. 9918, so 9,918. Somebody else says 1.5 million. Give us the answer, Tsungai.
So, Darren, you being so smart and starting at age 25, you actually have approximately 3.1 million by the time you retire at age 65. Yeah? Wow. And fast forward 10 years later, the second Darren, the Darren who lost out on contributing just 60,000 Rand, because remember we said 500 Rand over 10 years every single month. So the capital difference is only 60,000 Rand. But Darren, who starts saving at age 35, only has 1.1 million Rand. So technically, based on that lovely concept you talked about called compounding, where the little soldiers go out, recruit more, if you've got a lovely relationship with them, like Tepo said, will encourage your money to grow by over 2 million in a space of 30 years. So guys, those are the numbers for those that are very logical and they want the stats to back their financial decisions. Start now, start today, start as early as possible. I want to be sipping pina coladas with you in the Maldives, but we can't be having that lifestyle if you have not started saving early enough.
Wow. Enox put some emojis like, that is like literally shocking information. So now this is so good. Let's get into some of the questions that I am seeing in the chat box here. What about peer-to-peer investing platforms? Do you recommend those? And also, what percentage of one's income should be invested? I think you have touched on that already. And then let me see what else we can. Okay, answer the one about peer-to-peer investing so long.
So I have to ask the person what they mean by peer-to-peer investing, because if it's a stock val, then I'm going to say, we talked about inflation. And if the stock value you are peer-to-peering with does not reward you with any form of interest, then it's not a good investment decision. And I know historically, a lot of things have been achieved via stock vals, but guess what? A unit trust is actually a stock val that went to college, right? So it's an upgrade to the stock val. You're now more educated, you're now more informed. Use the knowledge that we're sharing on this platform, get in touch with a certified financial planner like myself, and we'll help you. Otherwise, if peer-to-peer investing is in the form of like a stock val where you're giving each other money every single round, it's really not beneficial from a long-term investment perspective. There are various options out there that are way better. Get in touch with us, consult, and we'll be able to actually assist you in doing better with your money.
Another one here says, I would like to know more about property investment. What website should I visit? Or for more information, and when and how can I start?
Fantastic. So property is actually a great investment option right now in South Africa. But hear me well. Listed property is not doing very well. It's actually down almost 40% year to date. But where you actually go and look for an undervalued property and hold it over the long term, you're more likely to make a better quality return right now. It's a buyer's market. So if you've got access to cash, if you've got access to capital, if you've got access to peers who can help you fundraise so that you can buy a property right now, is the best time to be. A good place to start is websites such as saproperty.co.za, property.co.za, Team Roof is another good one. But please, guys, again, with everything, there's a science to it. If you're a first-time property investor, again, consult with people that have done it. I'm actually on my third property, so feel free to reach out to me again if you need help with that. And yes, let's make money, guys. This is our time. This is our season. Can I actually just give a very important stat, Darren?
Yes.
Do you know that since the 1950s, there is way more money in the economy today than there was 50 years ago? So my question to every one of these young people is, if the amount of money in the economy has more than tripled, i.e. it's more than 4 times, 5 times, 10 times than it was 50 years ago, what are you doing to harness and harvest the current wealth economy? Drop mic.
Drop mic. DJ, pick up the mic. Let me ask you a question quickly. So one of the questions that, over here, and it was, when you were a student, how did you start out, and what were some of the investments that you started with?
I love that. Go for it, Tsepo.
Yeah, I think even before you start thinking of investing and putting your money in certain places, you need to take a little bit of responsibility and do a little bit of your own research, a little bit of your own reading. So what is it that you want to achieve, and how do you think you're going to get there? And then sit down with your financial planner, financial advisor, to get a little bit of advice. So I knew that I wanted to invest in shares because I saw value in shares. And so I sat down with a financial planner. They gave me a strategy on how I can go forward. And that's how I then decided to do it. But what's very important is you need to do a little bit of research on your own. There's so many platforms where you can read and you can be explained as to exactly what is a share and what is the JSE. So there's lots of information. It's just you need to take a little bit of responsibility to learn and to read and to know some of those things. Darren, it's funny how if you ask a lot of young people what's trending right now, they know. But if you ask them, do you have a budget? They don't have a budget. So you know everything about everything, but you don't know anything about your money. And for me, that's very, very sad. So before you even begin, do a little bit of research, sit down with your financial planner, decide what it is that you want to achieve. Then you can start to plan forward.
Love it, love it, love it. Here's a real question. This is a very real question for you, Tsungai. And it says, should we save for rainy days even though we are not earning much money right now?
Definitely. Remember when I talked about the Penta rule, the first 10% I allocated it to an emergency fund. And stats have actually shown that you will come across a rainy day, but what happens in terms of the level of how drenched you become is how prepared you were for that rainy day, right? So even if you are earning, like I said, 1,000 Rand, allocate 10% consistently towards an emergency fund. Because what you'll find is it might not be a lot right now, but over time, it actually accumulates and becomes valuable in helping you when you do get an unfortunate or an unforeseen event happen. So definitely, no matter how much you're earning, use the Penta rule to allocate whatever income you're earning. Like I said, 10% for emergencies, 10% for short-term investments, 10% for medium-term, 10% for long-term, and then the last 10% for your do-good fund. The other 50, spend it like you want. We won't even ask you what you did with it.
Yes, Van, this is, well, I need to pay a financial planner for me to get assistance.
Honey, if it doesn't cost you, it ain't worth it. So yes, unfortunately, unfortunately, you will have to pay for the services of a certified financial planner. However, what I've noticed is that some people are actually really good in that. They'll waiver a portion of their fees if they really believe that you are teachable or that you're actually serious about creating generational wealth yourself. So it goes to say that different financial planners will have different pricing plans. Again, reach out to me. We can always negotiate and discuss something that actually works for you too.
Guys, so many of you would agree with me. We could literally be doing this all day, every day. Enoch saying, yes, can we have this meeting weekly, please? Because the information is so good. So, but we are almost at the end of it. And so what I would like to do is I would like about 2 minutes just to go through some of the questions so that I can ask you each one more question before we say goodbye. So I think what we'll do right now is let's get the final poll up. Crystal, so if you could put up the final poll, and let's get everybody to complete the final poll before we come back and wrap up today's webinar. So poll's going up right now. And if you would please, there we go. Poll's up on the screen. There are 7 questions. So please make sure that you complete each question. Choose the answer you agree with most for each of those questions. Scroll down to number 7 before it will allow you to submit. I'm going to quickly review some questions. And once everybody's voted, we will ask Tungai and Tsepo 1 or 2 more questions each if we have time. Remember, guys, all of this information and so much more is available on the website, www.l+earn.org.za, as well as www.asisafoundation.org.za, where you'll also be able to get a replay of this webinar. And I would so recommend that you go and watch this again, because I think there was just so much information given today. All right, I'm going to be quiet and check out the questions. You continue voting. Only 2 of you have voted. Come on, guys, vote. The poll is up on your screen. I think you guys have answered so many of the questions that a lot of people had today, which is really great. Listen to this beautiful comment. It says, I think saving and investment should be included in the life orientation curriculum in high school so that we step into adulthood and get jobs. We are mentally prepared. Isn't that beautiful?
That is phenomenal. Hey, Darren. And I think that's what I personally aspire to do, to make sure that we inspire people to make better financial decisions so that we each create sustainable generational wealth.
Very, very true. All right, a couple of you still need to vote. I'm going to keep it open for 1 more minute just to allow you to vote. There are 7 questions up on your screen on the poll. Please choose one answer for each of the questions. Make sure that you scroll all the way down to number 7 before it will allow you to submit your answers. Mpumelela says, looking at being more financially literate. Love that. Lenovo saying thank you so much for, oh, it's not Lenovo, it's Lenovo Tab. So that's the name of the PC. And it says, thank you so much for the information about investing. Surely I can say I have learned a lot and surely I know more and how to start investing. Beautiful Lenovo Tab. Somebody says, I can smell the passion of money from Tsungai. For that, I'm starting today. Awesome. Thank you for your
Well
comment.
done. I love that.
Farron Lee says, these webinars are so amazing. Why have I not heard about them sooner? Righty. Unika saying, thank you guys. This is absolutely awesome. Another one here saying, who's that? Trina saying, I agree with that. We need financial literacy from a younger age. Beautiful. Okay, so we can take the poll down. I think, yeah, let's get poll down. Thank you very much. Poll is down. All right, Tungai, final question for you quickly is, what criteria do you use when considering what investment to invest in?
So remember, you always want to allocate your resources where you'll actually get the maximum return to your investment. So that should always be your starting point. Remember, your money is a finite resource and you want it to work the hardest. So where am I going to get the best value, the best outcome, the best returns? So that's a great starting point. Do your analysis, do your research, and only allocate resources where they will get profitable returns in the form of income, in the form of a dividend, or in the form of a capital gain.
Love it, love it, love it. Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we are at the end of today's session. But before we go, I want to give you some extra value. So I have an announcement to make, and this is a great announcement. I'm sure a lot of you are going to love it. But we've just received confirmation that we are allowed to host one more webinar next week. And so next week, we are going to be hosting a special webinar, and we are going to be talking about your financial life and mental wellness. All right. So we're going to be talking about the impact of money on your mental health. It is going to, excuse the pun, blow your mind. Okay, so we've got something very special lined up for next week. So please make sure that you tune in. We're going to be talking about money and your mental health, and it's going to be a great session. Thank you so much for joining us, Tungai and Tepo. I'm going to allow each of you just 30 seconds to leave the audience with a tip for the week, preferably a financial or an investment tip, something that you would like to just make sure that they walk away with today. Let's start with Tepo first.
Cool stuff. So what I'm going to say is share a quote from Warren Buffett, one of my favorite quotes. It says, you are your own biggest asset by far. Invest in yourself as much as you can. In other words, that means that you need to take some time to build your relationship with your money. That means you need to do a little bit of some reading. You need to consult with a financial planner, financial advisor. You need to do a budget and see, am I spending more than I'm earning? What's going on with my money? So that's all about looking at yourself as your best investment and spending some time on building your relationship with money.
Tepo, that was absolutely beautiful. I want to thank you so much for your time and just for what you've imparted into all of the participants today. And I want to challenge the participants. So At Large has just quoted Warren Buffett. Let's all quote him on our socials. So let's all put the quote saying, invest in what you know, not just something you don't know, and then say there, DJ At Large, because you've just given us something to take away as well. And so thank you for just your passion, and for somebody else here said, thank you for stopping the car to help us out.
You're more than welcome. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity.
Big snaps to you. Don't go away just yet. Tungai, final words from your side?
So I think one thing I want people to remember me for is to just start. Start now, start anywhere, start somewhere. When you look back, what will you be remembered for? Will you have left any financial legacy, or are you just another individual who has caused a burden on the earth without a return?
Wow. That is so beautiful. I'm left speechless, and that doesn't happen often. But Tsungai, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your passion and the energy that you've brought. I think that it resonates with so many of the participants on the webinar today, that we can sense your passion. We can see how sincere you are, and we can see that everything you've presented and you've told us today really came from a place of genuine concern and genuine desire to help see people's financial lives better. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us on the webinar today. Guys, the comments are going absolutely crazy. So I'm going to read like 2 or 3 before we say goodbye. Dorian saying thank you. Sabira saying hearts, 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 hearts. Siobhan saying, Mr. Darren, thank you for this opportunity. Somebody else here saying, thank you, Tsepo. Your advice will definitely be put to use. Somebody else says, I now am more penny wise. Sam saying, what a meeting. Another person here saying, wonderful words, Tungai. Another one here says, powerful webinar. Invest in what you know. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mr. Tsepo. Your advice will definitely be put into action. Let's see. Can we go for one more minute of shout outs? Thank you for joining us. Here's another one saying, thank you so much, guys. This was beautiful. You make me look at money differently. Thank you for sharing this wonderful info with us. See you next week. That's a great one. I feel like a financial advisor myself now. Somebody says here. Someone else here says, it means a lot, you guys, for your wisdom. Thank you, and have a phenomenal weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart once again for choosing to be with us for the last hour. I think it was one of the best ways you could have spent your Friday afternoon. And so I want to thank you for staying tuned in all the way from the beginning. Remember to please go and like the private Facebook group, which is ASISA Foundation L+EARN. Also go onto the website where you can find a lot of information about everything we've covered in the last 4 weeks on www.l+earn.org.za and also www.asisafoundation.org.za. Don't forget to join us next week where we talk money and mental health. And don't forget that there will be a special gift that will be sent through to you and via SMS on your cell phone. And then tune in next week. And that's it. I think quickly, Tsepo and Tungai, do you both just want to give us your social media handles quickly?
Yes, on Twitter, it's @large_the DJ. On all platforms.
The DJ.
On all platforms, yeah.
Awesome stuff. Tungai?
So mine is moms and money _ on Instagram.
Moms and money _ Awesome stuff. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Again, from my side, my name is Darren August. Be financially savvy and saver. Waya waya. See you guys next week. Thank you so much and goodbye.